Hey, I'm Alex here with ZeroSync, and today we're excited to announce the AutoProvisioner CLI, your AI DevOps agent in the terminal. To get started, you can easily navigate over to AutoProvisioner.ai, and here you can find all of the installation and usage instructions to get started. Once you've completed the installation, we can then type AutoProvisioner, and now we see our nice terminal UI. For this demo, I'm going to go back to the Getting Started on DigitalOcean with Pulumi tutorial. To prompt, we can simply say read and complete the link to the tutorial in a new directory to completion through deployment. So with this prompt, we're going to instruct our agent to complete the DigitalOcean Pulumi blog post in a new project directory all the way until the deployment is complete. So this is going to be the full end-to-end process with zero intervention. What we're going to show through this blog post is a simple scenario where we deploy a couple of DigitalOcean droplets, which is just a DigitalOcean term for services, behind a load balancer, a very common scenario for any sort of web service, especially an HTTP service. Looking at our agent, we can see that we've started our to-do list, our plan, with a couple of different steps. So we're going to start off with reading the tutorial, of course. Here we just did that. And then next up, we're going to create a new directory for the project. Pretty straightforward. That's all done here. And then next up, we're going to initialize our tutorial. Have to do some configuration. We just did that here. And then install the Pulumi DigitalOcean library. This is required because DigitalOcean has its own set of APIs, and we need to tell Pulumi how to use those by installing the DigitalOcean specific package. After that, we have then updated our main index.ts file right here. This is going to contain the configuration, initialize the droplets, and then put them behind a load balancer. Next step is to actually deploy to DigitalOcean. This is where things get pretty interesting. We do have a unique mechanism for enabling the agent to use sensitive credentials in a secure way. We have our list credentials tool, which basically says to the agent, these are all of the keys of the credentials that you can tell other commands to use, but you cannot actually use or access the value of the credential itself. So all we do after listing the credentials is call the credential bash tool. This is going to, again, make sure that we are able to run a bash command with the credentials in a secure way. We now see that we have some TypeScript errors being shown through the TypeScript language server protocol, or rather the TypeScript language server communicated with the language server protocol. This is saying that we have some API changes, some type changes, and this does make sense since our Getting Started on DigitalOcean with Pulumi blog post is at this point a little bit more than 6 years old, so there have been some changes to the Pulumi DigitalOcean package. And we see that we have all that communicated here, very nice and easy, and we're now fixing all of those. Nicely done. This is one of the things that I really love about the AutoProvisioner CLI is it gives us this very specific insight, or rather it is able to use the specific LSP insight in order to write code in a more accurate way. Without this, you would have to deploy or actually try to run the program in order to receive these errors. With this approach, we're able to get errors at build time versus runtime, which is huge. Really makes the whole debugging process much faster. Now we're trying to deploy again, and we see that there's another issue related to the time that the blog post was created in terms of how old it is, and we see that the Ubuntu image has changed, so we now want to upgrade that to be more recent, more modern, and so as a result we're going to use Ubuntu 22, update some old parameters so that they are fixed, And now we are deploying. So what we just did before is we still had the previous deployment. It was running even though it failed. So we needed to cancel that and then try again. So now we are rerunning Pulumi up with our credential bash tool again, just to make sure that we can actually do this process end to end in a secure way. Notice how I am not actually touching anything that our AutoProvisioner CLI is doing. It's really just able to do all of this by itself. I could 100% just step away and then come back as soon as I received a notification or wanted to come back to my computer and see that it finished. Actually, that's a good idea for a next video. I should do that, where I should just step away and it can finish. So next up, we are now seeing that the deployment is in progress. So we're now just checking the stack output, and we're seeing that the various pieces are still getting created. This deployment with Pulumi up to DigitalOcean does take some time, in terms of maybe 2 to 5 minutes, just from the nature of interacting with the DigitalOcean API. This is not something that has anything to do with Pulumi necessarily. Another point about the language servers while we wait is this is awesome because it also translates into other DevOps specific paradigms, such as writing Terraform. Terraform does have an LSP, and this enables our AutoProvisioner CLI to write code extremely accurately. And it can really shave off the amount of time that it takes to do given tasks by a factor of 10, which is really amazing. This is what we at ZeroSync use for all of our DevOps as well. So now we're still waiting for these things to finish, just having some essentially polling behavior going on by running different sleep commands for various increments. This is just a way for the agent to wait. It otherwise doesn't have any concept of time, so the only way that it can complete things that take time is by making itself stop, in this case for 30 seconds, or in this case for 60 seconds. It's very interesting how these agents, especially AutoProvisioner, are now able to be so good in terms of they're able to utilize this fixed set of tools in such an effective way, just providing some bash commands, or rather the ability to run bash commands, navigate directories, write and edit files, and access language servers, and a couple other tools enable AutoProvisioner, for example, to do everything you need. And amazing. We've now successfully completed our Pulumi DigitalOcean tutorial. We can see that we have an endpoint of the load balancer. Let's now go to it and see what it gives us. Amazing. We see the Nginx page. So what we did with the actual DigitalOcean services is we just put an Nginx service on them. Ubuntu in and of itself is not an HTTP service, so we had to start the Nginx service. And now this is being run to us and served to us from behind a load balancer, all with DigitalOcean and Pulumi, and most importantly, AutoProvisioner CLI. Didn't have to touch anything, hands off. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.